Good evening, good evening. How y'all doing? The video is going to be about the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre, which is 100 years anniversary a week from today. 300 to 400 African Americans were killed by a white mob because of false accusations of a white woman being raped. And it was legally greenlit in this country. Nobody white was charged with a crime. It's funny how you fast forward that and some people say, well, that was then, that could not happen again. Did you not see the insurrection January 6th in Washington, D.C.? Don't tell me that history don't repeat itself. Don't tell me that it's not a white man's country and that America doesn't stand by idly and let white people do what they want to do, especially white men who have racist venom in them when you see it on display. This Tulsa race massacre, there was a woman that was 107 years old. She was speaking to Congress, and bless her heart, she should be compensated. There should be reparations for those survivor descendants of this. You know, when you take away a people's foundation and liberty, you have to do the right thing. See, when I hear the anti-Asian law going into effect, I said there's still Chinatowns in different places. Black folks have some business, but they're not properly been prioritized. There has been no reparations. There has been no reciprocity. There has been nothing to justify the legal genocide. You was not taught this in the classroom. All them history books whitewashed the truth about black life in America. And the Tulsa race massacre 100 years ago was not talked about. Unless you know about somebody from Oklahoma, from the Greenwood area. You did not hear about that. That was on purpose. The racist government ain't done nothing except oppress black people, FBI, CIA, all that. How can you ever trust a racist country that 100 years later still won't justify that? But they're the same federal buildings that has J. Edgar Hoover acknowledged as some kind of hero when he hated black folks and had taps on prominent black folks, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not going to get into him personal, but you can Google about his history. But the bottom line is this. Joe Biden can sit there, they can perform all this lip service. That is a day of reckoning. That is reckoning. That is a reality. That is a hardcore reality. There were prominent African American businesses, not just churches, but we're talking banks, we're talking food restaurants, we're talking pharmacists, practitioners, doctors, lawyers, etc. You know, separate but equal did work. Black folks were very prominent. And let me let you in a secret. It ain't just in Oklahoma. It happened all over the country back in the day. Black folks were striving. See, if you kept Jim Crow up, you had your own invisible tent. So you never had to interfere with that. You broke the segregation color line 1964, which is almost 60 years old. Just so you know, we're not talking hundreds of years ago. We're talking in the past century of how racist and how it's been allowed to go down. And the whitewashing that has gone down in the history books, the school books, government, all of it. Why do you think you got these racist cops out here killing black folks every day and nothing is happening? Why? See, they can sit there and justify their negativity, but they can't address the history, the maliciousness, the hate that's spewed from within. See, this is on some real tragedy. But ghosts, and I say ghosts, I say because I'm going to tell you something, those spirits are going to come back and it is going to be something to pay on earth for the injustice. This is the real pandemic. The racism pandemic is real. And there's a virus, there is no cure. There is no CDC, nobody to give you no guidelines. Institutionalized systematic racism is alive and well. And it was just 100 years ago. How does a place live with itself? How does anybody white in Tulsa, Oklahoma live with themselves? and these other places that pride themselves in their whiteness, when they stand over black folks as death and blood and knowingly know that they benefited because of white privilege in life. When you see this documentary that's coming out and you hear about it in a week's time, you need to study it. You need to question your school why they didn't teach it. You need to question your parents why they ain't talk about it if you're white. If you're black too. And why ain't people fighting and protesting more? Because we're not further along. And we can see an insurrection this past January, which is it's May 24th, 25th now. So we're 4.5 months from an insurrection where it was predominantly white privilege, white folks storming the nation's capital, being told led by Donald J. Trump, and also talked about lynching Mike Pence, a vice president who was white, but they said lynch him. Think about that, with nooses openly, but white, all that supremacy. And you tell me that 100 years ago in Tulsa, Oklahoma can't happen today, but yet they show it to you primarily what they think and they feel. You better wake up. You better wake up, because it ain't changed at all. And don't give me you had a black president, a black female president. Politics is for show. It's window dressing. The hate is real. Please hit the like and subscribe. I welcome thoughts and comments, and I do respond. Thank you. And wash your hands. Clear your mind. This is stuff that needs to be discussed, because if it happened before, it can happen again. Charlottesville 2017. Think I'm lying? Think I'm lying? It's coming.